StarCraft fans around the world, hello and hello, Poland! This is the Premier League. This is the World Championship Series Season 3. We're all gathered this weekend because we want to find out one last champion for 2015. Who's it gonna be? Who is gonna leave their mark in StarCraft II as you wrap up this year at 20? Is it gonna be Mana? I think a lot of you here in Poland really wish it was gonna be Mana, and it could be. I love the energy here. Krakow, we're all happy to be here for WCS. But Mana, we gotta wait for Mana though. We gotta build up the suspense for Mana, because our first quarterfinal, we're gonna go down the bracket. Ladies and gentlemen, every matchup in this bracket, I think, is absolutely exciting. We've got really a dream bracket for the last season in 2015. First up, this player coming in from Germany, now in back-to-back Premier League appearances. He's trying to make one extra step. And given the bracket, really anyone could take it this time. Hailing from Germany, it will be GunGFuBanDa. And his opponent, coming from Sweden and making his debut in the WCS Premier League in 2015. It is none other than representing Team Property, Zanster! We're already gonna find out who our first player is gonna be to make it into the semifinals. We're cutting it down to the top 4, and of course, all the way to one last champion this weekend. Gentlemen at the expert desk, tell us, what do you think of the first quarterfinal?
Destroy you.
Thank you very much, Chobo. We're super excited about it, and we think that we have two of Europe's finest stars in the making here in the WCS. Two of these players have been rising in the scene for a very, very long time, and now they go head-to-head in Control.
Yeah, I mean, they're so young, but they have been a part of even the WCS system dating back to the beginning of the year and even beyond that for a couple of these guys. I like what Ken was talking about, too. They're the product of their country. Zanster has been actually winning some championships in Sweden where there's stiff competition, but that's given them the experience to say, okay, round of 8 WCS, I'm ready for you.
All right, well, as the players do get set up on stage, they did have a couple of words to say against each other before they went into this.
It was the perfect scenario for me. I really wanted GunGFu over the other two.
Yeah, like, I was okay with Lilbo and you, but like if I would get polled, I'm pretty much dead. So I'm pretty happy that I got you. I think like in a game there is no friendship, but after we will be friends again. But I still like I try to destroy him, and yeah, let's see if it works.
Yeah, in the game I hate everyone I play, so yeah, there's no friendship in the game. I think I've been more impressive. Like, GunGFu barely got out, and I think Snoot kind of threw the dash and terminal game, so if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be here, I think.
Yeah, maybe he's through it, but still, I will just win against you, and I don't care if someone had a bad day. I just give my best and destroy you.
I think his strength is that he doesn't care if he loses at all.
I think his strength is that he's playing Zerg, and yeah, it's pretty good for him.
It's bull.
No.
His skill level.
Most likely his brain, because it's not working that good, so he chooses Zerg, and yeah, we will see how it will work out.
I might get Protoss one map, so 3-1 for me.
Yeah, I said the other way around. I would win 3-1 in my way.
I hope you'll forgive me for what I'm gonna do to you.
He's a big sheriff, so he has no chance, and I'm from Team Banana, so I will win.
GunGFuBanDa and Zanster go head-to-head now in the first best-of-5 of the day. Let's start talking about the young German player now. He played in Season 2. He came with us to the season finals in Toronto. He's back in Season 3, and he's gone one step further, Roddy.
Yeah, Season 2 was actually incredibly impressive by him. Even though he didn't make it into the round of 8, he was in a group back then with Bonnie, 4GG, and Hydra. And we all kind of laughed when we saw that group drawing. We're like, he's super dead. But he actually got so close to winning that group. He even did so well in the winner bracket in the final series against Bonnie, one map win away, and that he follows his Season 2 performance up with another extremely solid, even better run here in Season 3.
Yeah.
I'm kind of blown away by it.
And Jeff, he's beaten Lilbo on the way to where he is now. He's also beaten Snoot on the way to where he is now. Two of the biggest names in the European scene, and he's now standing on that stage.
Yeah, and his win over Snoot is super relevant, actually, because Snoot and Zanster, both Zerg players, both very strong in the European scene. He was looking good. He's a PvP sniper, so it's kind of interesting in the interviews and in pre-games he was talking about. He's like, I would have liked Lilbo again. How many people ever say that? But it kind of speaks to his confidence. He's a confident little guy.
And he goes up against Zanster, who's just as confident, really. He's oozing of confidence. He showed us on stage he thinks it's going to be a 3-0 with the hand movement. He said in his interview it's going to be a 3-1. Pig, talk to me about Zanster.
I mean, we keep harking back to it, but Zanster's stage experience competing nationally in Sweden as a two-time champion there, it's just given him this presence. Normally, when it's your first time here in Premier League, they look a bit nervous, they look a bit shaky, but Zanster defies all of that, and he's just looked very confident throughout, has his own unique sort of play styles, and he comes in there and just kind of plays the game the way he wants to.
One of the most impressive things that Zanster showed me this weekend is that he can play horrible in game number 1, try a cheese, and it just falls flat on its face. Almost every other player on that moment is like, oh god, why did I do that? Why would I go for such a build? And they kind of start falling apart in game number 2. And he just played phenomenal. Game 2 and game 3. This happened twice. And I asked him about it. It's like, weren't you like kind of shaken up after that game? He's like, no, I just forget about it, you know. He's like, it wasn't very smart by me to do that, but I knew if I'd play normal, it was going to be fine. I think that is a very strong mentality to have.
Yeah. Both of them have shared that as well, especially GunGFuBanDa. You think about his games versus Snoot, they were so very, very close. But both of them are stable, they're consistent, and they're very composed when they go up against high-pressure situations.
And that's going to serve them well here. It's a best of 5, keep in mind, too. Like in a best of 3, you trip up once, and all of a sudden you're facing elimination, at least in that match, and for a couple of these guys in different situations, even for the round. So in a best of 5, there's going to be a little bit more development. We're going to see more of the map pool, and I'm kind of excited to see all those things you guys talked about in terms of how they handle pressure as the series goes on. Like to recover the next game, that's intense, but can you rally back after 0-2?
Yeah, and that's an important part to remember now, isn't it? After we've gone through the round of 16, it's all best of 5s now, and we've got the maps on the screen for you. It's Coda, Cactus Valley, Terraform, Bridgehead, and Dash and Terminal. Pig, talk to us through these maps and what your impression is of the best of 5 series overall.
Well, we are going to, I mean, the most important thing in a best of 5 is the vetoes, of course. Zanster eliminating Moonlight Madness, the crazy map, which makes perfect sense, and GunGFu getting rid of Iron Fortress. So two very typical, you know, vetoes there. But in terms of the order the maps play out, you can see Bridgehead and Dash and Terminal, which are the kind of crazier maps, are at the end of the series. They're the maps which I think both players are a little bit afraid to go onto because they don't have as much experience playing these. In a best of 3 format, these are the maps which are normally vetoed. So the first couple of games are going to be very important to give yourself a bit of breathing room in case you end up on one of these maps where you're not quite as experienced.
And our favorite map to start things off, boys, it's going to be Coda. Roddy, talk to us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, I think Coda is going to be quite okay for GunGFu. Seeing how he has played a couple of his PvZs, I feel that GunGFu is pretty strong in this matchup as long as nothing truly throws him off, as long as he doesn't get too surprised. While Zanster, on the other hand, he's an awesome Zerg to watch, but he's a Zerg that often finds a complicated solution for when there is a very simple answer. Zanster as well, but he uses a couple of unique builds, and that's great. I love people with their own builds, but on a map like Coda, it can be hard to do something too out of the box. So I kind of think it plays into the strengths of GunGfu.
This is one of the most played maps. It is the most played map in the World Championship Series. He's got a very equal ratio between the two matchups as well.
And that's why, Sean, it's become kind of the gridiron map. It's fairly balanced across the board. And I just kind of want to go off Kevin's point because I think it's really, really good. I think looking at this series, looking at these maps, one of the kind of trap falls for Zanster is going to be not overthinking things. Mechanically, he's clean, smooth, and really good. He's a very aggressive Zerg. But we saw in those other series a couple of times he was like, no, I need to do something super clever. And then it looked so terrible, so bad that it was like, who's in that booth with Zanster? Because surely that's not him.
All right, let's check in with the predictions now. Zanster is keen and ready. We're ready up here. The game is almost prepared. Throughout the week, we've been going in predictions and who thinks who's going to win. We've done it once again and we'll be continuing throughout the weekend. The boys have gone for a 6-2 in favor of Zanster, and the guys that have chosen GunGFuBanDa is Kalaris and Nathanius.
Those are the two guys that have been leading so far.
They have?
I know.
Actually, I think I overtook Kalaris, actually, so...
Well,
oh, okay, Pig. Sorry about that. But, I mean, we've all gone for a Zanster up here. Roddy, why have you gone for him?
Just because of the fact that this is a best of 5, and we will play 2 maps, in my opinion, Dash and Terminal and Bridgehead, that are not super common, and I feel that's where Zanster will truly shine, and I feel overall mechanically he's a little bit stronger, but I do think this 6-2 prediction is a little bit deceiving. It's definitely closer than that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Awesome to have you up here, and we'll be following the guys throughout the rest of the weekend. But it's time to start game number 1. Let's go to the commentary team for this one. It's going to be the classic combo of Todd and Kalaris.
Time to begin the games here for the World Championship Series as we move into the round of 8 with 2 players who have risen through the ranks in their national tournaments and have found themselves here on the international stage in the biggest game of their entire careers, basically, to move on to the round of 4 here in the World Championship Series.
Absolutely, and it applies for both of them here as well, making it this far in this tournament. There's going to be a lot of pressure on their shoulder. Apparently, Naniwa made it.
Yes, he did. All right, well, we are going to be getting into this. Coda will be our first map here between these two in this best of 5. Extremely, extremely tense moments for both of these players. Neither of them has really, truly sat on a stage quite like this in an international performance and seeing if they can make it on to a glorious moment as we now get into our first map here in this game. Find out who's going to be moving on to the round of 4. As we do have spawning up to the top left-hand corner, it will be our blue Protoss representing Planet Key Dynamics. It is GunGFuBanDa. And spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. Representing Team Property, it is Zanster!
Both of these players have put in some serious work here to make it this far, and not just in practice, but in the tournament as well. GunGFuBanDa had to play against 3 Zergs in the round of 16 alone, and with just the 1 loss and the 2 wins that he got, that's already a lot of game that Zanster got to study from that. So it's going to be interesting to see how both players adjust from this with all the history that they have going into this.
Yeah, it's a really, really big moment for these 2 players, as we were saying before, with how they've been able to rise up in their own scenes alone. Zanster being a Swedish champion, with GunGFuBanDa taking multiple top positions in the German EPS as well as Meisterschaft. He has found, both of these players have found themselves always wanting that international performance, and this is the golden opportunity for them to be able to seize it by the horns here and move on to the round of 4.
GunGFuBanDa actually against Zerg is really tricky, even as far as openers go, because he has so many of them on multiple maps as well. Sometimes he's just going to open with a gateway down the ramp, sometimes Forge, gateway up the ramp, anything, even Nexus first. We've seen him do everything, and if you're Zanster here, a safe approach is just, I guess, to try and play standard without taking too big risks. And Zanster, we see actually that he already went for a spawning pole first. And it's just going to be expanding in the most standard of ways here behind this.
Already trying on the other side here, Zanster trying to negate the probe's position on towards the natural. He's going to head over towards the 3rd base location to try and take himself that hatchery. So just kind of accommodating for each other's moves here GunGFuBanDa still keeps eyes on things. He hasn't checked over to the third, but now he will to make sure that that is going down.
6 links actually were started here, and Zanster is gonna, I guess, use the fact that he went for a spawning pull first to get those 6 links out, go across the map and try and just annoy GunGFuBanDa a lot. Kill that pylon that's down the ramp, maybe trying to get into the main so that he can dance around forever until usually there's a stalker out that can properly clean that up.
Roach just going to head on back in here, as we do have already the hat's natural being taken. So triple hatch off the back of all of this. And with these Zerglings poking forwards, yes, the natural is exposed. Zealot's going to be out in just a little bit here. But GunGFuBanDa should eventually be able to clean this up.
Yeah, the fact that he started Zealot this early is going to be able to get it out on time to eventually kill these Zerglings, but he's going to lose a pylon here. And that's going to be pretty annoying. Actually, if he allows these links up his ramp here, it's going to be ideal for Zanster, who should be looking to try and go around. That's going to also force a Mothership core here pretty early in this game. He's trying to get a surround on the Zealot here, if he can get that.
That would be a big pickup here to start things off. Already trying to micro off against it, but one Ling will be able to micro back here. Zanster making sure that he can keep all of his Zerglings alive for as long as possible. Mothership core will be able to pop out, so maybe he can be able to clean this up eventually. That was good micro overall here by Zanster to get that, but I don't know if he's going to get too much done with these Zerglings.
Yeah, Zanster gets in. He's going to lose all of those links, not really doing too much more, but that at least forces a Stalker. And if GunGFuBanDa wanted to go for a Stargate, he's not going to be able to start that early without having it being spotted now. So it's a pretty big deal here. Already what Zanster, I think, has achieved. And definitely, it's going nice for him. He's not really missing any inject at the same time. Zanster is actually... He's a monster. Mechanically, he's one of the fastest players out there. He really never misses a beat. Like later on, if we go into the first-person view of his, you're gonna see how fast this guy is. He's just insane. Every single time, I'm like, oh my god.
He's one of the fastest Zergs in Europe, that's for sure. And maybe across continents. But for now, we'll just see now. He's gonna send these links up towards the top here, and not doing too much with that. GunGFuBanDa walling off the natural as well, sending his Mothership core across the map to try and poke around a little bit. But this is a little bit sneaky here by these Zerglings. I think they wanted to try and check the third eventually.
Oh, this Overlord on the left-hand side spotted that probe going down there. This is pretty cool here for Zanster to be able to see this, because now he knows that there's the potential for some aggression. He went for double gas actually here, did Zanster. So gonna be getting some good gas income going. If he wants, he can start speed, then follow up with Lair immediately after that if he wants to. And he's gonna do that here, fully knowing that there's the potential for some aggression here from GunGFuBanDa.
Well, a very, very slow start to this game, that's for sure here, as we do have Pylon being set up to the left-hand side, so maybe he's going to be using that to try and harass towards that third base. If you can do damage early, then that would be fantastic, but it's going to be spotted very, very quickly here.
This is a pretty big commitment, actually, because now GunGFuBanDa had enough gas to warp in a bunch of sentries at home so that they can build up on energy, but warping in Stalkers across the map here, this is a little bit of a Rotty-esque pressure where you know that the Zerg is not going to have speed, so you try and force more and more units, and you try and deal some damage as well with the Stalkers with some good kiting.
Yeah, this is quite strong, especially since he doesn't have speed at the moment, and he's saying...
And you can recall.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a good defensive mechanism here with the Mothership core too. So we're just going to poke that out with this, focusing on the Mothership core here.
Zerglings across the map killed one of the sentry that was in the wall of GunGFuBanDa, so he had to force field.
And we're going into the first-person view here of GunGFuBanDa, who's trying to kind of crisis manage this situation, throwing down the Chrono Boost, getting himself the Twilight Council as well. But one thing's for sure is that he does want to claim this third base and try and transition on. But at the moment, over the other side of the map, yeah, a few units were forced out. Actually, quite a lot. 31 Zerglings. That's quite a lot of Zerglings here to have against
that brings down Zanster here to 46 drones against 50 probes. And instead of starting to drone up again, he's getting a ton of units right now, as well as Burrow. Zanster is going to be committing a lot to aggression here.
Yeah, this is a lot of units he's getting out at the moment. GunGFuBanDa needs to be able to realize this somehow, some way. He has to know that there's going to be some potential counterattack because of how many units there were forced down.
And usually the way is using an hallucination to fly across the map, but right now he doesn't have the energy here, GunGFuBanDa, because force fields had to be used here for him to defend at his wall, so he has no idea this is coming, and as much as he's got some sentries and stalkers, is it going to be enough here against the massive army of Zanster? 47 army supply to 22.
There's a follow-up as well. There's a Spire going down and drones on the way, so this is going to do a lot of damage if GunGFuBanDa is not careful here. The Roach is moving to the left-hand side. Zergling is going to try and swing around from both locations. This is going to get on towards the sentries already here with the Zerglings. That's a good position for them to be in. Roach is even firing out a lot of this as well here, and GunGFuBanDa is going to lose a significant portion of his army army. Can he hold off though? It's desperation force fields at this point, and he doesn't have that much firepower left.
Yeah, he really didn't see this coming. There's going to be one single photon overcharger to work with for GunGFuBanDa, but he's already lost a huge chunk of his army here, and all of these sentries being gone is not going to help either. And behind this, guess what? He's not going to have a way to scout that there is a Spire on the way, so even though he's got Blink started, Zanster is going to be happy to keep on dealing damage with this unit that he's got there. And behind this, going to Mutas with all of the gas that he's going to have banked up, which right now is not actually that much just yet.
Mauling's reinforcing, still not that many gateway units here for GunGFuBanDa as he does break through the front here. That force field way out of position for GunGFuBanDa. Zanster already claiming a good position at the start of this first game in this best of 5. Gets on towards a few more of these gateway units with 11 probes dead down towards the other side. This is looking really, really bad for him. And also, there is still the follow-up. More Zerglings on the way on towards the sentries. He's focusing down these stalkers, and GunGFuBanDa looks like a headless chicken in this first game at the moment, with Zanster putting on so much pressure against his position.
He's trying to hold on, but there might be too much here already, even before the Mutas are out.
There you go, GG. Game number 1 goes to Zanster. Oh, and he is confident. Look at that face as he takes the first game. Very, very well done there by Zanster. Really good start for him, but I can't help but feel that GunGFuBanDa just not having the vision alone of what was about to hit him really did hurt.
Choosing to go for that pressure here with the Stalkers instead of warping in sentries is a very risky one. You know, you're forced to recall, then you're missing some energy for the defense, and if you don't see that attack coming and you're out of position like he is, you're already in so much trouble. He could have recalled, and he would have saved his units, but then Zanster would have attacked wherever GunGFuBanDa wouldn't have recalled, and he would have been in trouble either way. So fantastic decision making already from Zanster, and he not only exudes a lot of confidence, he also shows it through his game here. 1 out of 3.
Yeah, and now that man on screen is going to have to buckle down and take just a little bit of a chill, relax a bit, because that game, it looked a bit of a flustered maneuver from that natural to the third base, trying to hold off against what we were seeing there from Zanster. And just vision alone through the middle, being able to react to those kinds of things. But as you said, the knock-on effect, forcing some of those force fields to come out early on.
That was crazy. It was just with a very few links as well that Zanster went across the map while he was being harassed back at home. And I think he knew there was probably going to be one sentry in this wall, because this is usually what you do as Protoss. So he forced these few force fields, and then the one sentry of yours as Protoss that has the most energy and that you want to hallucination scout with is not there anymore, because he lost that one, and I had to force field with the other sentry as well. So if you can't see what Zerg's going into, usually it's already not going very well for you. You want to be able to see it, and then so you can react properly. And in this case, GunGFuBanDa wasn't even allowed to do that.
Now going into game number 2 here, it will be Cactus Valley in our best of 5. What do you make of this map here, Todd?
We've seen it quite a bit, actually, in some of those series. Like every once in a while, it makes an appearance. Earlier, it was during GunGFuBanDa against Sen on map number 2, where we saw GunGFuBanDa open kind of standard, you know, gate gas. He faked a little bit of aggression with a forward pylon, and behind this, he was chrono boosting out probes. So he built up his economy very nicely and definitely won the early game mind game. But then he went into a timing against Sen's, you know, early hive tech that we saw really not having any success. So not sure we can relate to that game too much, just because Zanster plays so different.
All right, well, we're getting into game number 2 here for this best of 5. Will GunGFuBanDa be able to keep his composure? After nerves were able to rack him there in game number 1, whilst we have the focused Zanster looking for blood here, moving on to the round of 4. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, it will be our blue Protoss. Representing Planet Key Dynamics, it is GunGFuBanDa. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. Representing Team Property, it's Zanster. So focused.
Yeah, Zanster seemed a lot more comfortable, even in the interviews, you know, talking about this match. He seemed very, very confident. Everybody kind of does, but, you know, from GunGFuBanDa, it seemed rather like a thing that you just do because you feel like you have to, whereas from Zanster, it seemed really genuine, where he really thought that he was going to win here 3-0 or even 3-1. In this case, pylon down the ramp here for GunGFuBanDa. Second probe going down. We're going to have a cheeky cannon rush here. in the plans for German Protoss. Let's see if Zanster goes for hatchery first.
Yeah, and just in case you're a little bit new into StarCraft, on a map like this, all spawning positions allowed, but he's doing something different. He's actually gone for the gateway. Which
is also pretty good, actually, against double hatch before pull, because you can chrono boost out that one Zealot, or even hatchery first. The thing is that now, GunGFuBanDa will see it kind of late. But there is a chance Zanster even goes double hatch before pull, even though it doesn't necessarily have to now that he sees a probe on the map.
Yeah,
if you get a Zealot, it's really cool, because you go across the map, you go towards the main usually, and if the Zerg pulls drones too easily, you just pull back with your Zealot. But if they don't pull drones, then you get up close, you get behind the minerals, and then you can start chipping at those drones and doing a lot of damage to them, forcing them in a bad position.
Yeah, this is one of the much rarer situations here. Zealot's on the way already. He spotted this drone going down to go for the triple hatch opener. Usually in this situation, when you see a probe being sent out this early, it would have been a forge for something like the cannon rush, like you mentioned. But this is a slight deviation here from GunGFu, trying to read into his opponent a little bit earlier. And one Zealot,
there is a chance.
It's pretty annoying.
There is a chance he still drops a forge here, just because spawning pull just started. We've seen GunGFuBanDa do this before. He was against Sen, I think, on Coda. Right now he's not.
Doesn't look like it.
Just gonna be the one Zealot followed by another, and then GunGFuBanDa behind this starts one assimilator, so...
But this kind of opener here from GunGFuBanDa, I mean, it forces out a few units, a few more than you would normally get to react to this, but you're on a triple hatch opener here as the Zerg. So how does that kind of play out? Does it leave the Zerg not?
It's going to be really annoying. He's going to have to start a lot of links, and drone-wise, drones are going to have to be pulled. Look, they're already being pulled towards the natural here. GunGFuBanDa is already going to kill one drone. Zanster hadn't planned here for this, and there's just second Zealot on the way. If he gets the surround...
He's trying to go for it there, and he actually doesn't manage to get the full surround there. The Zealot will be able to back on out. He's got to pin himself up against the wall here.
This is really bad for Zanster here. He's wasting a lot of time. He's not mining during this time. He started more drones behind this. He didn't start a Queen or Zerglings. Oh my god, he thought this was only going to be one Zealot, but now there's another one right in there for GunGFuBanDa, putting in a ton of work here already in map number 2.
First Zealot already falls. There's going to be a few links trickling out here with the drones just dancing at the moment. He's not getting as much mineral income as one would normally think. Also a pylon down to the bottom here on the map. Very, very sneaky stuff here from GunGFuBanDa. Not conventional in any way, shape or form right now.
I think a Stargate here might be in the plans for GunGFuBanDa, already realizing that Zanster is definitely feeling the heat here in map number 2.
Yeah.
And the Stargate's gonna start out on the map. GunGFuBanDa, that's a really good adjustment here that he made. That second Zealot came in a little bit handy to apply even more pressure, and then the hidden Stargate, surely, I really don't see it being found here. And most likely it's gonna be an Oracle. Zanster not knowing, I feel like there is no way he's going to have Spore sometime, and he's going to start losing a lot of drones against this. There is a very good chance that this is what we might see here.
As you pointed out before, the Queens are already slightly delayed here. The Zerglings are going to push forwards towards this location and realize that there is one Zealot in that wall, so they can't do too much more with that. Maybe try and get the consolation prize of this Zealot here that is going to take some damage. Once again, good micro here from Zanster, keeping all of those Zerglings alive. He constantly is able to win out on those favorable trades with the Zerglings.
That Zealot in the wall didn't even move at all, and gateways are gonna start going down on the map now, so I think GunGFuBanDa realizes that since he has to go for Mothership Core and an Oracle, he didn't have the gas to start a Stalker as well to prevent Zanster from scouting his main. So getting all of those gateways out on the map, as much as it's a big risk, I don't think he's gonna be spotted there.
Oh my god.
This is gonna be even deadlier now for GunGFuBanDa. Again, Zanster has no idea. He just started saturating his gases. He need a lot of Queens, I think, to defend against this properly, but he's just got 2 right now on the map.
Game number 1, the heat was really on GunGFuBanDa, but now it's back onto Zanster here at the start of this second game, as he's already been able to pick up a few kills here with the Oracle. Gonna fly to a different location. Needs to evade the damage from this Queen. Zanster tries to react to the damage that's already being done.
The Mothership Core is coming in as well. That's gonna help, shooting down more and more.
Oh, it ran out of energy! Oh, it ran out of energy just before it was able to kill this off, but the Mothership Core should be able to finish it off. The Queen trying to retreat back to this Spore Crawler, probably gonna die off though, but the gateway pressure that's gonna be able to follow this up is gonna be pretty big here. Gets himself the Queen. Good pickup here to start denying some of this defense, but I think the Spore Crawler already finished. It will push away that.
But there's 5 gate Zealots here, 4 gate Zealots coming in, so these guys are going to be able to take out these bases. GunGFuBanDa even hides it a little bit longer. 10 links are on the way now, but with speed not finished, they're gonna take forever to get across the map, and Oracle is gonna win a one-on-one against the Queen, and here we go. Zanster, he's gonna get the bad news now as he starts his road run.
Yeah, exactly. He's only just started it now. As he saw the Zealots coming in, that is a very, very bad position for him to be in. Zerglings are gonna try and combat against some of these Zealots, but more are coming in from the left-hand side. 3 Oracles are on the field here, and once they're able to get onto anything, once the Zealots are able to carve away at these Spore Crawlers, there's gonna be nothing left to defend these mineralize. The Zealots are in the middle of all of this. The drones are desperately trying to defend this location, but there's so many more Zealots that are on the way, Todd.
Yeah, they take a long time here to come though, and the Oracles can't really help because Zanster stayed in range of the Spore, so there's still hope, even though he's still in a lot of trouble. He needs a lot of roaches to eventually hold this here, and some very good kiting. He's been dancing around that third base with one Queen that's kept a bunch of Zealots there for the longest time, and definitely has done a good job buying time. But now GunGFuBanDa is going to be getting right in there. He needs to do more damage, and he needs to do it now.
Yeah, the Oracle's charged up once again. They're going to try and go for these Zerglings to deny the Zealots from having to do even more of a job on that.
If he killed that Spore, by the way, here, GunGFuBanDa, he would have a Mothership Core and Oracles that can do a lot of damage, but right now these Zealots, they're attacking a little bit of everything. Roaches finally come in.
Time has been fought for the Roaches. I mean, there are 7 on the way here, so maybe you can clean this up eventually, but it's 50 to 40 workers at the moment here. The Zealots are still working at things.
Yeah, the Spore almost went down here, but it's staying up. Really is going to prevent this Oracle. No, they're going to come in, they're going to finish it themselves.
Oh, and that opens up the taps here, really, for the Oracles to do a lot of damage to these drones. GunGFuBanDa behind this has even a third base going down. He is really on top of this game at the moment, and talk about a crazy, crazy opener to this second game. He is flying away with it.
He already killed 22 drones, more than 20 probes ahead himself. GunGFuBanDa is not ready to stop here. He's having the time of his life in map number 2.
Yeah.
After a disappointing map number 1, really coming back strong here on Cactus Valley.
And turning the heat back on, and now we have Void Ray on the way here for GunGFuBanDa. He realizes that roaches are a big threat. What better way to deal with those than having a Void Ray in defensive location? Even Cannon's gonna be added on, but this is all or nothing here really for Zanster. He has to do something big, otherwise he's gonna be so far behind economically.
Well, GunGFuBanDa cannot overextend here. Don't underestimate these roaches. Even though they're cheap, they're pretty good, man.
Void Ray,
yeah. He's gonna come in. GunGFuBanDa even walled off properly here at his third base with the gateways that he's got there. So Zanster, I mean, it's pretty nice by him that he held on, I guess, but 42 drones against 55 probes and Protoss already on 3 bases. I don't think he has too long here of a time left in this game, because GunGFuBanDa definitely should be setting up to do a very strong 3-base timing here momentarily.
Zanster trying to hold on at the moment. If he were able to win this game after the deficit that he's been put at, oh my god, would that do a huge boost, even more to the confidence that he's already exuding. But it's going to be a difficult road here. GunGFuBanDa has quite the lead, jumping on in with the Oracles again, getting himself a few drones, darts on out, and keeps that Spore Crawler from killing these Oracles off.
Yeah, when Ling found a pylon on the map, if somehow I guess Zanster was able to find his gateways and Stargate and could kill that, it'd be nice, but he'd be exposing a bunch of units to dying. So either way, right now Zanster, he doesn't need drones, he only needs units. He needs units that he can't even have, like he needs Hydralisks, ideally, against this. But Lair is not even finished just yet, and now GunGFuBanDa is going to start moving out on the map. He wants to save his pylon on the bottom left-hand side, and he's going to be able to here, to use that as a warping point to get closer here to that third base. That's cute, Zanster, to try and buy time like this, but GunGFuBanDa is even ready for that.
The army's huge. The army that he has to the left-hand side here is very, very big indeed compared to what we're seeing here from Zanster. Zanster at the moment has his Hydralisk stand on the way as well as a few Spine Crawlers, but he's just going to wall this off with Force Fields and get himself a guaranteed third base if he wants to. He doesn't even have to wall it off as he just moves on forwards here, traps a lot of those drones as well. And that is going to be a good pickup here for GunGFuBanDa to extend his lead even further.
Yeah, Zanster is still trying to hold on here, but this timing definitely was very bad news for him. He's getting more links and roaches. Definitely is going to need Hydralisk against this army. Takes the fight a little bit too early and he gets trapped.
Roaches here can't even get towards this fight at all, and even if they did move forwards there, they would get shut down by extra force fields that will push them away and lock them on in. Just a few here and there, but the third base has already gone down. And now Zanster really stares down the barrel of this Protoss army and doesn't have many answers. He's trying to get a few Zerglings in the mix here against this, trying to get some upgrades out, but all of this is superfluous against this kind of force.
He's just got way too little here. 51 army supply to 79. GunGFuBanDa is having the time of his life here once again. Gonna start a Dark Shrine, a bunch of pylons. Almost looks as if he wants to just pull back to let Zanster realize that there is not much hope here for him. Zanster is going to try to re-expand elsewhere. You have to admire his fighting spirit here.
Gotta try something, but that is a paltry force he has in comparison to the Protoss, as GunGFuBanDa doesn't even really need good force fields there to be able to deal with that one. GG, he will take game number 2, and he will tie up this best of 5, 1-1.
I like that. He doesn't even need good force fields to win the last fight. Actually, the truth. Those weren't good.
No, easy enough. Just mere units there. Small forces to try and hold off that Stalker Sentry army. And then GunGFuBanDa ties it up. The thing is that about that game, it was by no means a normal game from what we saw there from GunGFuBanDa. So kind of throwing these little wrenches in the works against Zanster, with how he was able to play that one out, I think that's definitely a good direction for him to be going.
I don't think GunGFuBanDa has shown a super cheesy side of him, and I feel like that's what makes him such a strong player. At the same time, is that he can go up to 3 bases, 4 bases, and win those games through some great multitask. We've seen what his War Prism harassment can do. So it actually saved his series against Snoot in particular.
Yeah.
On Dash and Terminal, but he can also play pretty dirty, you know, hidden production facilities out on the map, hidden tech, everything. A little cannon rush here and there against a Zerg that plays too greedy at times. In this game, wasn't really allowed to do that just because he scouted Zanster so late. But it's really nice of him to mix it up so much, because it really keeps Zanster guessing a lot. And when you have to guess, sometimes you guess wrong, Kailaris. And when you guess wrong, well, a lot of the time you end up typing GG.
Yes, you do. And now we're going to be moving on to Terraform here for game number 3 in our first best of 5 of the day. Todd, what do you make of this map, considering the 2 players?
It's going to be interesting to see if Zanster plays a similar style that we've seen before on this kind of map, where he just kind of maxes out as soon as possible and hits this 13 to 14 minutes mark timing with a lot of roaches and Hydralisks between the natural and third base a lot. He's been very successful with this before. Remember that Zanster in the group stage, he beat Mana 2-1 after failing, actually on this map, a proxy hatchery all in. Pretty sure he's not going to try that again, considering how it went against Mana.
That's true. Didn't have much success there in the round of 16 with that, but let's see what he's going to be bringing here in the round of 8. Both of these players looking for that round of 4 spot, at least, would be fantastic for them. One's guaranteed to get it. That's the brilliant part for one of these players, as we now get into game number 3 here on Terraform between GunGFuBanDa and Zanster in our PVZ. We have a few more on the way here today. Of course, this is only the beginning here. As we have spawned down to the bottom right-hand corner, it is our blue Protoss representing Planet Key Dynamics. It is GunGFuBanDa. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg representing Team Property. It is Zanster.
GunGFuBanDa, who seemingly is going to be opening here with the gateway up the ramp. As I said before, he can really mix it up very nicely. He has a lot of different builds. And that helps a lot in this kind of best of 5.
Yeah.
All alike though, Zanster, he can mix it up himself very nicely. Is he going for Drone Scout or the gold? Looks like the gold.
Uh-oh.
No, actually just the standard third base. It was Betrayus on this map earlier who used some very nice gold base play and did very well for himself. GunGFuBanDa, the opening with the gas, so not going to be quite the gateway into Nexus here that we see a lot usually. And it's funny because he's now going to see the natural here of Zanster, then going to see the main that there's no pull, and he's going to be like, okay, it's probably a gold. Maybe check it, no gold. So GunGFuBanDa is going to realize very late exactly what's happening there.
Yeah. Very, very strong mind game we're seeing here from Zanster. On this map in particular, it is very common to see Zergs, as you say, taking that gold base, or even trying something like the proxy like he tried against Mana. So he's even checking the gold base, and then he's already rallied over to the other location to check if it was going to be over on his side of the map.
You know what's funny? He could have checked the third base, which is actually closer to the natural, but instead of that, he had the same reaction as me. He's like, oh god, it's the gold. No. And then he checks it, nope, it's not there. So all of a sudden, GunGFuBanDa is being all paranoid. He's going to be checking the entire map, and he didn't check the one spot where the expansion was. Now he's starting a Zealot because he wants to be aggressive, maybe. Does he cancel? Yeah, he might cancel, I guess, with the timing on that probe. Yep.
Yes, he will. So just going straight to the Nexus there. Queuing up the Zealot and almost letting it finish before your Nexus is finished, just in case you do see the Zerglings, if they were to come along. But that's not to be the case here for Zanster. Or if there was going to be a block, of course, from a drone, to be a bit annoying. But for now, the Overlord is heading on in here for Zanster to have a look around. He only sees one gas currently with the mothership being built. So he knows where a lot of the gas from the Protoss has already been allocated.
Yeah. Both of these players, they studied each other's VODs here, leading up to this match. Played quite a few PvZ, in particular GunGFuBanDa. I remember that was 3 best-of-3s that he played in his group stage earlier in the round of 16.
Zerglings now on the way across, just to tickle away at GunGFuBanDa for a little bit here, put him a bit more on the back foot, but not much that 2 Zerglings can really get done, especially since with this first Zealot and the Mothership Core in defensive location, should be fine. What he wants to see is part of the wall maybe, to see if he could actually spot that. Usually it would be 2 gateways going down in that location. Maybe he can see those later.
Looks like GunGFuBanDa might just want to try and play standard with the 3rd base there. Wouldn't be surprised if he just added on one more simulator now, went into a forge, and just did that sentry-heavy 3rd base. But a 4th gateway actually gets dropped down now.
Yeah.
So I guess since he didn't go for that 2nd gas, chooses to go for the 4th gateway instead, and since he has a probe on the map that hasn't been found, he's going to be trying to maybe proxy some pylons here for some aggression. Oh, he messed up with the probe, actually, in his wall. Didn't send that out. He wants to send another one out, and that one's trapped. You need to mineral walk that. And the Zerglings are going to spot it here. This is a pretty big deal. Already a massive tail here for Zanster that this might be happening.
Is it? It's a bit strange to do that, right? With the pylon that he has towards the top and the probe here.
I'm thinking Stargate or Twilight for DTs, but a lot of the time in this position it's going to be Stargates.
It's very...
Twilight, oh my god.
I think he almost...
So 4 gates, usually when you do that, you go for a 4 gate Zealot pressure, and then the Zerg is like, oh god, I need to get a lot of Zerglings and Roaches to defend. And it's very hard for the Zerg to anticipate Dark Templars coming.
Yeah, this is a really cool mind game, because already, I mean, the Zerglings were fanning out towards the top. He showed the army down towards the bottom that threw down another pylon there towards the gold. So right now he's throwing down the Roach Warren, expecting it to be that small little gateway aggression coming along. But whilst all of his attention is focused down here, he's never going to find up towards the top what's going on.
GunGFuBanDa takes the gases on his natural. There's still an Overlord in his main here, scouting, by the way. Didn't quite deny that just yet.
I only saw 1 gas during this whole time. I think he may have seen the ones onto the natural, but regardless, this is putting on some pressure at the moment, forcing out a lot of Zerglings as well as Roaches here. With 41 workers against 36, and the Dark Shrine is on the way here. This is quite big.
There is actually a oh my god, that Mothership needs to get on. Might have to time warp. No, he pulled it back in early enough. Push spread is now going to begin. Oh, that pylon that's going up on in the middle left-hand side here of GunGFuBanDa is massive because he's going to be able to warp on the other side of this.
And that Overlord's not in range of it, just barely not in range of it. So this is going to be quite difficult for Zanster to actually find out unless he scours the map here once again. Zealots are going to have to be forced on back. He believes at the moment that he's shut down the majority of the aggression with that pylon to the bottom being destroyed, but this could get very sticky.
Can Zanster realize that something's going on? It's going to be really hard. It's going to take one hell of a read here for him to realize.
Players morphing in. At least once that's finished, he can get himself overseers warped in. But at the same time, this is quite a few units towards the wall here against GunGFuBanDa.
Dark Shrine is 25 seconds away from finishing, whereas Lair is 50 seconds away. So without spores, Zanster is going to be in massive trouble here. Those Dark Templars, they're about to be warped in, and they're going to get to his main and natural so fast. Still no spores are starting.
Well, the ship core is already at the front there, just fending off these units and making sure it's done. The Dark Shrine is complete. So now Zanster here going to be going up against 3 Dark Templars, warping in on the other side. If these fan out and kill off a lot, this could be brutal here for Zanster.
He's coming back almost as if he knew, but he didn't quite start any spore just yet. Lair's going to be finishing in 5 seconds, Skylarys. That's a lot of time for those Dark Templars to do a lot of damage on these drones.
And once you hear those swipes as a Zerg, you know you're in a bit of trouble here. There's 2 Overseers now morphing in. Every drone line has had to be evacuated out here for Zanster.
Wow, Zanster moved around very nicely. He only lost 5 drones here so far. Could have been in the 20s here already.
Yeah, good reaction times, to be honest with you, considering what he's lost. 8, 9 go down. He's going to lose maybe a few more. This Dark Templar will get cleaned up in the main base, though. Another Dark Templar still going ham. And it's 54 workers to 57.
Yeah, and the one in the 3rd base actually evacuated, so he could come back now and kill a few more drones if GunGFuBanDa realized. Okay, he's going to do that. 3rd base now. He's going to be hit again. to try and kill a few more drones here.
Doing well, 15 worker kills. GunGFuBanDa with a third base on the way up on the other side here. And against that, Zanster choosing to go for Hydralisk.
He wipes in another one to go into the natural or maybe even main here. There's an Overseer and enough links to defend that. But they move out of position. Oh, they saw it on time. Massive catch here for Zanster. This could have done, again, a lot of damage if you hadn't seen it.
Still in the third base, getting himself even more workers. Finally, no, 18 workers in total.
Okay, so 18 workers, that's not bad, but Zanster is gonna be left with 60 drones against 59 probes, and he's got the gold base coming up, which GunGFuBanDa has no idea about. So now, I think Zanster is gonna do what I talked about earlier, get a ton of roaches, get a ton of Hydralisks, and try and hit the timing when he's got enough. Because a lot of the time, that's what he does on a map like this, where the natural and third base are kind of separate apart. If you have to go for that, actually, when you go for Dark Templars like this, you're not gonna have the same sentry count as usual, but right now GunGFuBanDa has done a pretty good job, actually, of building up his sentry count and letting them build up on energy as well. And he's also got a decent amount of gateways. I think it's about to be 7 here with that one finishing on the third base.
And there is time you can buy through the middle of this map with rocks, but up on the north here, of course, with these very mobile Zerglings, it's a bit more difficult to try and delay those out. So they're going to hit this location. Already a lot of it has been walled off here, and his force is quite close, so these Zerglings should be able to get too much done at the moment.
We've seen GunGFuBanDa actually with some insane defense on this map earlier when he played against Snoot, against the mass roaches, so he knows how to pull this off when he needs to. He knows how to make cannons and kind of sit back when he knows that a Zerg wants to be aggressive. And in this case, he knows that he's done enough damage to maybe trigger that here from Zanster. He's going to be spotting the gold base now.
I mean, these Zealots seeing the positioning of these Hydras and Roaches, surely he's got to be a little bit worrisome as to where his opponent's army is right now. Why would they be down here unless they were traversing over to the other side of the map, try and put some pressure on?
This amount of Hydra is actually really scary because the Protoss army can die very quickly, Mothership Core included, but GunGFuBanDa is going to be trapping a few units in there at first. Links are coming in from behind.
He needs to make sure that Warp Prism does not die. That's not only the warping point for him at this point, down towards the bottom left, but also his evacuation out for those inwalling point malls, as the Lings are going to come in from the right hand side. Good force field, seal out all the rest of that army. So very, very well done.
Mothership! Oh my god! He wasn't binding here with his army. Wasn't quite grouped here for GunGFuBanDa, so now there's not going to be enough photon overcharge to work with, but Warp Prism flies into the main. This is what GunGFuBanDa is really good at here.
Yeah, got to buy time here as GunGFuBanDa against this kind of army that's pushing on at the moment. He does have force fields, going to separate some of these units off once again. Those Immortals that he has in this army, a lot of power behind those to bring down those roaches fast.
Zanster got a few unit trapped, but he manually targeted those sentries, so now GunGFuBanDa is very low on sentry and in particular on energy, so if Zanster was to try and engage again, there is a chance he might be able to break this army here of GunGFuBanDa, who macro-wise is not doing too well, by the way. He didn't have enough gateways, so he's starting to pile up a lot of minerals.
Whereas Zanster's done fantastically. 127 army supply against 71. The Warp Prisms go in again, but Zanster is going to set up on multiple angles here to try and push in. And even the Warp Prism's already being tracked. Zanster is all over the place right now.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa not quite able to land that here and do any damage. And production-wise, Zanster is just a beast here. With those injects, with everything, he's looking to try and hit this army here from multiple sides.
Yeah.
I'm not sure GunGFuBanDa has enough energy here to force field enough and even have Guardian Shields to work with. These 4 Immortals are going to come in handy, but the supply difference is pretty massive. Here we go.
He's going to be able to hit from the north here and hit from the south, as we do have those force fields actually landing down, not really separating up too much of those Hydralisks. Lings are able to get on top of this army as well here, as all he has to do is focus down his Immortals, warping in the middle of this fight. I'm not sure it's going to go that well here for GunGFuBanDa though. There's so many roaches and Hydras, 160 in army supply against 33. The Dark Templars are the one thing that saves him here because he doesn't have an Overseer.
Yeah, they're going to buy him a few seconds, but Zanster is going to be morphing in a bunch of Overseers here and coming right back. The Warp Prism gets sniped, and that's going to be only one Zealot here to harass. GunGFuBanDa has lost such a huge chunky of his army. He's got 0 sentries here to work with. And behind this, we even got a Hive coming up. Zanster, what a massive attack here.
Yeah, this is pretty brutal. 100 supply up basically at the moment with 130 armor supply against 45. And now he's claimed lay to the position between the natural and the third base. This is so uncomfortable for the Protoss. He can't move out, otherwise he has to face off the army, and he can't go and defend his third because already there's a huge clump there being able to deny him from getting there.
And the fact that GunGFuBanDa lost his Mothership Core is going to mean also that there's no photon overcharge. Zanster is going to be happy to be stamping the third base. He's still maxed out here pretty much with the minerals that he's got. He's going to be in a very comfortable position. Hive coming up. Now Storm's going to be researched by GunGFuBanDa, but I mean, He's got 2 High Templars.
It's desperation time here for GunGFuBanDa. He has to make something crazy come out of the bag at the moment.
The hidden base next to the hidden structures on the map.
Yeah, why not?
Interesting.
It's okay. And we do have the Dark Templar still going ham on the other side. At least he'll try and get himself a few drone kills here and there, but Zanster still has a good bank amassing. Storm's now finished. How many High Templars do we have out? Because they are all important at this point. 3, okay. So they really need to bank up a lot of energy if they're going to do damage to this army.
It's going to need some massive storms. Dark Templars come back into the 3rd base to try and swipe at those drones. GunGFuBanDa putting up a pretty good fight considering he's lost his 3rd base, but storm time.
And he's going to have to do quite a lot still there. That's an alright storm to start things off. Very, very nice. Hits a good chunk of the army in the middle, but still, this could become a suffocating position.
Absolutely, and Vipers are going to be made as well. The 3rd base on the top right-hand side is going to finish soon.
Yeah, all he would have to do is just send a few roaches up there, but alas, that's not going to be the case. He's focusing all of his attention on
the wasting a storm like this is pretty massive. Vipers that are going to have Blinding Clouds and Abduct as well for these Immortals. Should be able to end it here. For Zanster, who even starts Burrow and Turning Clouds. I mean, why not? He's rich. Knows that it's going to help against Storm here.
This one base is really his lifeline up towards the top. Maybe you can do something with that. Going to drop Storms up towards the top again and see if he can do something to this small army, but just getting Immortals out wherever he can. This is so very difficult to break out of.
GunGFuBanDa is going to try and be patient. I guess this one expansion he has out on the map is really his one chance to make something happen here with his bad economy, but not as bad as it should be. And in this case, Zanster, I think he's just going to wait for Vipers to get there, and he's going to attack this choke, Blinding Cloud the entire army.
Here they come, those 3 Vipers. Once this does get Blinding Cloud and he's able to just move forwards a little bit further, I mean, even Abducts onto the Immortals isn't bad, but that's a lot of Stalkers. He wants to be able to shut down as much firepower from them as possible. Tries to push them away again.
Blinding Cloud and Abducts are going to be so massive. In particular, Blinding Clouds, when the army is clumped up like this for Protoss and you got nowhere to run. But Zanster is taking his time, kind of like GunGFuBanDa in the previous game. Not going to quite rush in there. If some feedback could land here, definitely would help for GunGFuBanDa, but there's still so much army.
Oh, tries to go for it. He's sending those High Templars forwards, almost sacrificial there against that. Storm's going to land on a lot of this. That's quite a lot of Blink Stalkers. Actually able to abduct one of the Immortals. Second one's going to end up going down as well. But he's done a lot of damage to this Roach-based army alone here. The supplies are evening up. There's a big bank for Zanster. That's all important right now. GunGFuBanDa needs to be so cost efficient here with these Stalkers. He's going to be able to defend off against this. And now he's surely got to do something with the rest of his Stalkers he's got left.
Yeah, GunGFuBanDa, if he wanted to try something here, now is the time. Warp in only Stalkers, move across the map to try and end it, because if you sit back, you're not going to be able to do much here. Zanster's going to remax so fast, he's already back to 196 supply here. Lots of Roaches, lots of Hydralisks, and even the Greater Spire here on the way.
Putting pressure on towards the goal base, just a few spines there to be able to deal with it. It blinks back the full chunk of his army, and look at those reinforcements, as you mentioned. Zanster here.
Yeah, this is crazy here. GunGFuBanDa he held on much longer than I thought he might be able to. Even killing an entire army here of Zanster is going to be getting right back in there. He's going to have a few Templars here to work with. Well, GunGFuBanDa, that bottom left-hand side base is getting targeted by Dark Templar. Zanster is going to get right in there, snipes the Observer.
Got himself the goal base. GunGFuBanDa trying to bat himself back into this. Got himself the 3rd base up location once again. Picks off one of the Vipers. Really good stuff there. And also the Overseer was killed off, so a Dark Templar could technically be warped in defensively.
I'm not sure Zanster could attack with this choke here. If he gets his entire army, Storm might be in trouble.
Another Overseer is able to join this. Storm's going to land on a lot of the Hydralisks, actually. That's a good set of Storms there for GunGFuBanDa. Got to retreat back out, though. Archon's going to morph in. No energy for those High Templars. Going to be useless in that fight. Has to blink out separately against this. Gets himself the Overseer. Needs to warp in Dark Templars if he's going to have any chance of winning this. There's still so many Roaches and Hydra.
Yeah, there's still so much left over. And with 10 of hit points, even though a lot of those Hydras are getting very low, the Nexus is going to be sniped here. And Dark Templars coming. If someone could trap this army here, oh my god. GunGFuBanDa.
He's got to take the fight somehow. Blinking back here with the Stalkers, and he's going to be playing a good old ring around the roses for a while. He got the base down to the bottom left, and actually a lot of Zanster's income has plummeted here with him taking the base up towards the top left. He needs to make sure these Stalkers do not die.
That one Dark Templar sniping the bottom left-hand side base here. He's reduced Zanster here down to 4 bases again. somehow GunGFuBanDa is putting up such a good fight. He's really hanging in there with the few units that he's got.
Blink across, just get out of there for a moment, but he might be trapped for a moment. Is he going to get himself some overseers? Actually, he's gone right into the jaws here. There's a few more roaches, as well as hydras over to this left-hand side. GunGfu is trying desperately here with these stalkers to stay alive, but he's running a gauntlet at the moment and he's not surviving.
He stepped a little bit too far out this time, and he's going to pay the high price for it. His stalker count has plummeted. He's down to 8. 60 stalkers have been killed so far in this game. GunGFuBanDa, with that 4th base here, or rather the 3rd base being retaken and sniped, I think this might be the final nail in the coffin as Zanster progresses forward. I'm surprised that GunGFuBanDa, the entire game, he had this much minerals. Somehow he's really failed in making units very continuously.
I mean, crazy game. You can see the determination in both of them with how long they've lasted in this game. GunGFuBanDa in particular, somehow making this game go on for 25 minutes when he was in a very, very bad spot before, but he's still definitely not out of the woods. Zanster is very much so in control of this game.
Does he know? Zanster, I thought he finally might have realized that there was a base somewhere.
No. He thinks so. There's no way all the while this could have been off like 2 bases worth of economy with a 3rd trickling through. But here comes the Storm once again, trying to slow down this Roach Hydra force. And all he has to do is again blink back. Blinding Clouds not really being able to hit the majority of these Stalkers. The Immortal's going to go down at the front. These Roaches on top of the rest of this army. There's no Storms left to be able to help this out. And Zanster is looking to push on through here against the remaining forces of GunGFuBanDa in game number 3 to just try and round this out. This long drawn-out process here as GunGFuBanDa, with the resilience that he's shown, was strong, but it was definitely not enough. GG! Zanster takes the lead 2-1, and he is 1 game away from the round of 4.
What a fantastic game here from both players. GunGFuBanDa put up such a good fight here, considering the situation he was in when attacks surrounded his entire army. A lot of players would have just crumbled and left the game, but no, he stayed in there, retook that hidden expand on the top right-hand side, and with the probes that he had saved, he had a decent economy to rebuild a little bit. But in the end, Zanster, being on 5 bases for this long a time, it didn't matter, I guess.
Really tough situation there for GunGFuBanDa. Really made the most out of it, and it seems now that he does have, from game number 1 to game 2 to game 3, it seems he has a bit more composure about him, maybe getting a bit more used to the situation. But even if his mindset is getting used to this position that he's in at the moment, he's got 1 more game to try and kind of keep himself alive, and that is a tense moment to be in here for GunGFuBanDa. Whereas on the other side, Zanster, I think aside from the hiccups here and there that have kind of caught him off guard, he has been in control.
Absolutely, and I believe we're going to be going to Bridgehead here, which we haven't seen a whole lot of, actually.
No, we haven't.
I guess the fact that it's a best of 5 is definitely what's going to be making this happen. Actually, yeah, 0 games.
Yeah, especially in this matchup in particular, we don't really see it too much.
4 times, and Zerg won 3 times out of 4.
Yeah, usually we see it in like the mirror matchups a bit more than the other ones. And one thing's for sure, that it does provide very, very interesting dynamics compared to the most conventional maps. Can you talk us through why it's so different compared to others?
Yeah, because there is back rocks here on this map. The fact that you can attack through 2 places, it's going to make it very, very dangerous for, I think in particular, GunGFuBanDa, if somehow Zanster is allowed to build up this massive army of Roach and Hydralisk that he loves to go for. In the previous game, Zanster, even though he took some damage to the Dark Templars, he had enough drones to go comfortably into this Roach Hydra army, and in the end he did so much damage with that initial attack, especially when he surrounded the army, that GunGFuBanDa was in a lot of trouble. So definitely we're going to maybe try and look to do the same thing here with Zanster.
Well, already a great way to start off the day here for day number 1 of our season finals in Krakow, Poland, as we have game number 4 with GunGFuBanDa going up against Zanster. Zanster is 1 game away from finding himself in the round of 4. As we have spawning up to the top left, it will be our blue Protoss representing Planet Key Dynamics. It is GunGFuBanDa. And to the east, we have our red Zerg, 1 game away from the round of 4. Representing Team Property, it is Zanster!
Zanster, I feel like he's gained so much respect within the StarCraft scene, within the European scene here, with his performance and with how much he practices and how good he is mechanically. He's going to be going for a drone scout here. And I guess this is the kind of drone scout that you go into if you're thinking maybe about doing some kind of hatch block sometimes, but I don't think GunGFuBanDa opens that often with Nexus first that is going to be really good against him, and in this case, he does go for a gateway at 13 and then a scout, so I don't think that Zanster should particularly be looking here to try and go for a proxy hatchery.
Just making sure he knows exactly what's going on as he's going to head on in here towards the mineral line and maybe swing on back around there towards the natural location. But already we're seeing the probe moving out in a very odd direction here for GunGFuBanDa. And look at this. We're actually seeing also the hatchery being taken on the low ground location. And we've seen this in the past in this matchup. Not so much on Bridgehead, because we don't really get to see this map too much in this particular scenario. But yeah. Can you talk to us through why he would take this location over the natural in-base one?
Yeah, maybe Zanster, he either wanted to bait something, or usually you take that base, kind of like you did on Vanny, to start and creep spreading on that side, so that it's much harder to attack in that location. Having, you know, a bunch of Cryptumers there, Protoss not going to be able to throw down proxy pylons as comfortably. In this case, though, this hatchery, there is a high ground just right above it, on the right-hand side, and it's possible for Protoss to do a pressure there with a bunch of Stalkers, and then, you know, to prevent mining from the Zerg, and then recall when you eventually get in trouble. So Zanster's still going to be exposed a little bit to this.
There has to be no way that he missed that probe going down towards the pocket natural. Surely he has.
Yeah, Zanster should know. Like he's way too smart to forget about something this important. Like games have been lost on these kind of mistakes.
Indeed. So you should be able to keep eyes on that, track of it, as GunGFu hoping on a prayer here this little probe's going to survive. It would be amazing for him if it did, but very unlikely. As for now, we do have Queens on the way, and the Nexus was actually slightly delayed from GunGFu on the other side for a while, thanks to that drone. So Zanster already got, you know, a good position with that scouting drone.
Yeah, Zanster going for link speed here this quickly is very interesting. Might want to try something here, maybe with taking down these rocks slowly, making sure that GunGFuBanDa has to be on point and defending against this. That probe, though, still down there.
Yeah, two Zerglings on the way now. Maybe he's just not like overreacting. Maybe he's like, wow, I need Zerglings really quickly. But they are rallied towards the front.
It's the classic crouching probe, hidden pylon, tasteless.
Yeah, this is this is something that can really catch people off guard if you forget about it. But it's very uncommon. So the Stargate's going to be the follow-up here for GunGFu.
And the fact that he went into a Stargate here, GunGFuBanDa, I think he's going to want to go into an Oracle to try and do some harassment, kill a bunch of drones. Zanster goes for another third here, instead of taking the one in his natural.
Well, I guess the probe has been forgotten about.
Yeah, the fact that there is a probe inside of his opponent's base here, I think GunGFuBanDa, that's very encouraging for him to add 2 or 3 more gateways and go for a massive Zealot warp-in attack, much like he did early on Cactus Valley.
It would be nigh on impossible to react to unless his Overlord was able to spot the gateways.
And his Phoenix. On a map like this, going from base to base against Phoenixes, up until you have a whole bunch of Hydralisks, it's going to be so difficult. And even then, they can fly in, they can pick up these Hydras and kill them, so it's going to be tough for Zanster to react properly here against this.
And that Overlord, if he spots that probe down towards the bottom, that would be nice for him, as long as it continues on the path.
All right, here we go. 2 more gates. Is it 3 more?
Well, I mean, it was what I was saying before. I mean, if the Overlord's denied to make sure that you don't spot the gateways with the Phoenix, then the Zealots, or even the warping down towards the bottom, could be extremely strong, because there's no other way you're not going to spot a probe moving across, because it's already over there.
Oh, it is 3 more, 4 more gates. Oh my God, it's going to be a 5-gate Zealot here out of GunGFuBanDa. Even drops 1 more. Oh, this is looking pretty bad for Zanster right now, who didn't even start a Roach Warren just yet.
How are you supposed to react to that? You need to be able to spot it at the very beginning, but this is ridiculous. Normally, you would even take the 3rd base down towards that pocket location. The pylon's already going down there, and the Zerglings are going to try and counter it against these Zealots. The Zealot as well as Stalker.
Yeah, but there is Wolof back at home here for GunGFuBanDa. And in the end, Zanster's checking the entire map here on the bottom side.
Oh my.
It's on the other side. It's right inside of your base, mate.
I can't believe it. Roach Warren's on the way.
Stalkers are being warped in right now across the map here. GunGFuBanDa is ready to head in there. Roach Warren is going to start now.
He knows
this
something's
is so late, Zanster. He knows something's up, but he doesn't know exactly what. And I guess getting a bunch of links here is going to help.
Yeah.
But with the amount of gateways that GunGFuBanDa has, as long as he waits a little bit more and gets enough zealots, this is going to do so much.
Oh, and he's already revealed it here, so those Stalkers are going to come in. Zanster not looking to panic at all whilst that has been revealed already. Phoenix going to help it out, getting themselves the Queen to start things off. Really good movement. Of course, he needs to make sure that he's got some Zealot Warpins available against those kind of numbers of Zerglings. They're all fleeing back here to try and help one out. They get a good surround on towards these Stalkers. Lifts it up to be able to save it. Second one gets lifted up as well whilst the Zealots come in. Very good moves here by him, but he might have revealed this quite early against the number of units Zanster has.
Yeah, Zanster regroups with a bunch of Queens, though. If somehow he can save them and eventually kill those Phoenixes, there might be enough links on the ground to deal with all of this. GunGFuBanDa is warping in Stalkers and Zealots.
The Zerglings got on towards the Stalkers at the back there. That was a good cleanup from him at the back, but it's still at 18 army supply against 41. The Zerglings and Roaches piling out here should be enough to be able to thwart the ground army.
Zanster somehow doesn't miss a single inject and had enough lavas here to start pumping out Zerglings early enough that with the Roaches that are coming in, it looks like he might be able to hold it. Has on a Spore Caller as well, and with the Roaches that he's got, all Zanster has to do is kill those Zealots, and then I guess the Stalkers will fall very quickly behind this.
It's going to be very, very close here to try and hold this off. I mean, the Roach is going to clean up this first pylon. There's still a few more along. He needs to just make sure that he's going to be able to save as many Stalkers as possible. He needs to get to a critical mass of units, but I don't think it's going to be enough here. Zanster has been able to react so well to this kind of pressure. He gets onto one of the Stalkers. There's only 4 left against this many Roaches, and now they're pinned up against the corner. There is nowhere to run here for GunGFuBanDa.
Yeah, these Stalkers are going to be absolutely trapped. They're going to die. And the fact that GunGFuBanDa stopped at 2 Phoenixes, it's not like he's got 4 or 5 here to work with, you know, to go around, pick off units, kill them. He's only on 2 assimilators because he cancelled that 3rd one that he had made a natural earlier, and now a Forge is going to go down for GunGFuBanDa as well as the assimilators on his natural, I'm guessing.
It's a tough position here for GunGFuBanDa. Really, really tough.
Oh, the natural is the one place where there is no Spore. There is a whole bunch of Queens here ready to defend against this, and this one Oracle's not going to be able to do too much.
Drones will end up falling, 1 or 2, but not too much more than that. There's plenty of Queen anti-air there to be able to push that away. Doesn't quite have the creep threat between his natural as well as natural and main location, but aside from that, it's very, very desperate here for GunGFuBanDa. He needs to find a way to get back into this game. He's going to get a Void Ray for the defense, but aside from that, he doesn't have anything else.
Lair eventually starts here for Zanster, and that Void Ray is going to have a huge task here to try and bring him back in the game. It's going to be pretty tough. I'm not sure what GunGFuBanDa can do here, unless he just goes for like 3 Void Rays and then do some kind of 7 gate plus Void Rays timing. Even that like, it'd be really hard to win with against a Zanster who knows how to bring Queens into the fight and defend with it. Yeah. Or he's breaching it.
There needs to be a huge momentum swing somehow. It doesn't even get the force field there on the sentry that was warped in. There's going to be 1 cannon and 1 Void Ray alone here with just a few gateway units to try and hold off against this. But already he's taking a good sizable amount of damage here, and GunGFuBanDa looks a bit dejected at this moment, bringing the Phoenix back to try and help out or something, but even the Roaches alone are just causing the havoc.
Dejected, that's the exact word I would have picked. Doesn't look very happy, and Zanster getting in there with a bunch of units. He's going to keep on riding Zerglings across the map here. The Phoenix and Oracle are going to try to come back to help and defend. GunGFuBanDa has absolutely no tech other than the +1. He's trying to get another sentry here, might fall.
And another one does as well here, just cleaning up the rest of these units with just a trickle of Zerglings coming on in now. And the 2 Void Rays have got so much work ahead of them to try and clean this up. GunGFuBanDa trying to scramble to save himself a spot in the round of 4 to keep himself alive in this series, but Zanster is in once again full control here of the situation and is staring down one of the biggest moment of his career.
Absolutely. Zanster behind this, even ending on this one of the base, gets the infestation pit. Probes are gonna start dying. GunGFuBanDa has to start realizing here what's happening with how bad this game has been going for him. It looked very scary, this attack he went for, but Zanster realized early enough what was happening, started making links, and made enough to pull the Queens, and through some very good micro and once again decision making, is able to pull it off. I was really surprised actually that GunGFuBanDa warped in this many Stalkers in the offense. Usually you go for Zealots, but going for Stalkers I guess really didn't help in that case against this many links.
And here they come again, and they're going to deny this 3rd base, and GunGfu needs the 3rd base location. He absolutely does against the Zerg that's going up to 4 bases here. The Zerglings are going to come in from our surround. There's not even that many force fields available here against this. and he will be able to get a lot of those gateway units, even separating some of the Zerglings up and going into the mineral lines. This is devastating damage.
Yeah, Zanster, he reacts properly every single time here with these units in aggression. Going to be sending them to the natural here now. That third base getting cancelled slowly but surely. GunGFuBanDa has to cancel it, and he's now down to 39 probes to 63 drones. It must be starting to sink in here.
Hives on the way, plus 2-2 on the way as well here, with the Infestors about to pop here for Zanster. As everything is going his way. Not really letting up. All the transitions onwards, he knows the desperate position where GunGFuBanDa is in at the moment, and why not continue to keep exerting this kind of pressure, killing off the Zealots at the front.
Ultra, this cavern goes down.
Wow.
Against the Protoss with +1 and just his 2 Void Rays. Well, I guess Void Rays are not too bad against Ultras, but in this game, I'm not sure it's gonna matter. GunGFuBanDa, he wants to go for one final attack here, one final attempt, one last ride.
He's got to do something. He's got to do something, and it looks like this is going to be it. At least he gets himself a queen on the offense first, but still, with the lack of firepower that he has here, Zanster is just going to be able to loop around with a lot of these Zerglings. 74 army supply against 59, but Zanster can easily pump out a lot of units if he wants. And of course, remember, those Infestors at the back are going to be able to lock down that entire army.
Yeah, if he can land a huge fungal here, Zanster will
finally
put an end to this. Here we go, he's going to trap him on the bridge.
Locking him in there, and at the same time the Force Shield's going to do a bit of damage, but the fungal growths go down on the front of this army. Time Warp gets thrown down as well. There is no recall out of this position, as the entire Protoss force is going to get ripped apart. The left-hand side is being defended there by the Zealots. They're going to try and hold the ground here on Bridgehead, but with a few lift-ups here, I still don't think it's enough. GG, Zanster is able to make it on to the round of 4 and find himself in the most impressive position in his entire career.
More than anything, what's it like to hear this crowd cheering your name after that win?
I think this might be the best moment of my life, actually.
I would totally believe it. I mean, sir, you're making a history for yourself in your career, moving on to semifinals. You've got the crowd here in Krakow cheering you on, and you just took down GunGFuBanDa 3-1. I see you're taking deep breaths. Just run me through, how does it feel right now? How's the adrenaline?
It's pumping, man.
I can feel it. I mean, you're standing next to him. You guys can see him here. He's kind of huffing and puffing. He just got through. Let's talk about the game a little bit, right? I mean, map 1 opened up very quickly. You just took him down. It looked like you were going to be dominant. And then map 2, we see GunGFuBanDa fighting back. And people are starting to think a little bit in their heads, like, oh, shoot, are we going to go all 5 games? Like, no one knows. And then that last one, you just said, no, actually, I'm actually just going to shut you completely down. And I actually want to ask one big question, because the probe went through your main and went all the way down to the pocket natural, and it just sat there. And the commentators and a lot of us were wondering, did he forget about that? But you just let it be, and then you guarded that fine. What were you thinking in that process?
I did forget about the probe, but when I saw it was going Phoenix, I figured it would be a gate all-in. So, yeah, I just countered it and won.
Yeah, well, if you counter and win, I guess you win the match. I mean, no big questions there. Zanster, now that you've won and you're seeing the crowd here, you're really feeling the energy. How confident are you in, if you can maybe go further, maybe take this whole weekend for yourself for WCS?
I'm very confident against Hydra, but only kind of confident against Lilbo.
So you'd rather play against Hydra?
Yeah, for sure.
Ooh, all right. Well, those are funny words. He's a defending champion right now from Season 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, your first semifinalist in the Season 3 Premier League WCS final. It is Zanster. For now, we're going to hear from the experts on what they thought of the match.
Thank you very much, Chober, and congratulations to Zanster, who opens up the Season 3 finals here in Krakow with a victory. A very dominant performance from him. And that's kind of what we expected. We had a 6-2 in favor of Zanster, and he was able to deliver on the big stage.
He came out, he came swinging. I mean, there was that point on Terraform. It looked close, it looked dicey, but he powered through and he just came out of that and he showed he was the stronger player. He was really solid. I mean, it was always going to be the battle of can GunGfu throw him out of his element? Can he mess the game up to the point where GunGfu thrives? But Zanster kept it clean, he kept in control, and he just closed that out in a very simple fashion.
Yeah, it was pretty clean, but I want to go back to that Terraform game. Like, that was actually some pretty cool resilience from GunGFuBanDa in, you know, give credit where credit's due as well. Zanster was constantly like, why aren't you dead? And then he kept losing droves of drones, even losing hatcheries of these Dark Templar. And it's in those moments we see a lot of players really kind of unravel, but actually both players remain pretty calm. There's some pretty clean attacks also from GunGFuBanDa with an army that's half the size of Zanster's the entire time. And then the game actually developed pretty well. But Zanster was able to seal it up, which was, again, kind of a tribute to this young guy in that booth playing for so much and still finishing the game.
I agree with the boys. Like the first two games, I think they were pretty straightforward. You know, on Kodak, GunGfu wasn't paying attention, lost the sentries. On Cactus Valley, Zanster didn't scout the Stargate and the gate, so that kind of speaks for itself. Game number 3 was the game that truly stood out. There was one moment, or actually 2 defining moments, I think. The 3 Dark Templars, I think GunGfu did really good with them. He controlled them well. He killed 18 drones. That's a lot of drones, but at the same time, that's not the insane amount that really cripples the Zerg. And that's really all credit to Zanster, because he had 0 detection. That's so difficult. Like, if I would have been a Zerg, I would have lost 45 drones. I would have just left on that moment, you know, dirty Protoss. And then later on, there was still like kind of a close moment. Of course, Zanster is maxed out because he's on Roach Hydra. And then he has to engage, but he's fighting a player with Blink Stalkers and Sentries, and that's never easy. But he attacked from 3 angles, you know. He came through the rocks, came from the north, came from the south. It's just a little bit of everything. That was a truly beautiful engagement, and I think that's where he pretty much sealed the deal, and perhaps even the series, because Terraform's such a key game there, you know, when they're tied up 1-1.
Yeah, let's go to the very last map, though, Roddy. I know that we were watching it up here together, and you said that the strategy that GunGFuBanDa decided to choose here on this last map on Bridgehead could have worked.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it didn't work out the way he wanted it to.
Well, I'm a little bit of a dirty Protoss myself, Sean, as you know, and I'm not completely unfamiliar with this build. It's basically you open up with a couple Phoenixes, you hope for a couple Spore Crawlers to go down, and then you just warp in a lot of gateway units and you go all out. But I personally think, like, as cool as it is to have a pilot in the main, you think that's awesome, right? Yeah, it's kind of awesome, but look where the other units are. They're on the other side of the wall, and whenever you want to go with a gateway push like this, he has a Stalker and a Zealot somewhere else. And I also think he showed it too early, Sean. You cannot just show your four Stalkers like this, because the Stalkers will get surrounded, and he's going to pick them up, and we're going to all applaud. You know, that's a great move. Ooh, he's saving his Stalkers. Yes, but he needs these lifts to lift up the Queens. He should never take this much damage on his Stalkers. He showed it a tiny bit too early. He shows this with 4 Stalkers and 4 Zealots hogging those Stalkers. It's a completely different game, in my opinion.
And at this level of playing control, you have to execute.
You have to, and I mean, Kevin hit the nail on the head talking about just being shown a little bit too early. Up until that point, there was actually an Overlord that was coming down to look at those rocks on Bridgehead that we know so much about, but that didn't see the pylon. You do 2, 3, 4 warp-ins off of 5 or 6 gates, and all of a sudden you show up at the main base with a army, not just like the, you know, the front guys. They're like, hey guys, there's gonna be more of us, be ready. It's like, he's like, all right, I'm Zerg, I explosively produce. Yeah. He did that, and it was an easy fight from there.
It's good to see the confidence oozing out of Zanster. You saw the first map he took, he was fist pumping, he had the 1-0 coming up from his hands, and it's good to know that he can compete coming into the next one as well. He thinks he's confident going up against Hydra, which is a massive claim from him, Pig.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, the winner of Hydra Lilbo, of course. Yeah. But, I mean, he's going in with that confidence, and that's what we've been so impressed. But it is another big step for him in his career. He's going through to that semi-final, but he's going to need to keep stepping it up. He's going to need to keep it together. I mean, what we saw and what I was so impressed by was game 1, he went into that, and he chose to put the pressure on, and he kind of was like, early Zergling pressure, a little bit odd, go into this like Ling Roach attack, and he didn't let up the pressure, and I think he was able to grab the momentum against GunGfu very early and run with it. I think in the next series, he might not get that opportunity early, so he's still going to have to keep focused.
That's what I want to touch on. Like, I remember the round of 16 where for Zanster, most of us were like, okay, you know, good job, young man, in the round of 16, you're out. But he's going to be the underdog again, either against Lilbo or Hydra, either one of those. It's good that he has confidence, but we need to see how he plays with a much bigger opponent. And that's going to be the match that we're going into straight away here. We're going to go to a very quick break, but when we return, it is the rematch from the Season 2 finals. The French Baguette Lilbo takes on Hydra.